Parents are reacting tonight to news that a basketball trainer and City of Ocala employee is behind bars accused of sexually battering a minor and producing child porn.
TV 20's Taylor Simpson spoke to a dad who has a daughter who goes to the same rec center where the first incident is said to have happened.
A few parents I talked to said they had conversations with Roosevelt Overstreet and they said he was a good guy, but they were shocked that this happened. Ocala police say an 18-year-old girl and her parents came to the station to report that her basketball trainer, 46-year-old Roosevelt Overstreet, groped her when she was 16 after a training session.
As a parent, my daughter goes here. She's been, going here for about 2 years, and it's really sick to have that, this close to home. I can't believe it.
The arrest report says Overstreet later brought her to his home where they had sex approximately 10 times. He recorded some of those encounters and sent video to her on Snapchat. The victim's parents later found those messages.
Was believed to be an upstanding member of the community that was dealing with children on a daily basis who I feel took advantage of his role in the community.
Overstreet told the victim not to tell anyone about the abuse. Police say during questioning, Overstreet admitted to sending videos and pictures of himself to the victim.
It's hard because kids want to trust, and they want to trust in those that they're supposed to trust in, which is what the situation was. Just talk with your kids, be vigilant, maintain that open line of communication, know what your children are doing, especially on their electronic devices.
He was arrested and charged with 16 different felonies, including battery on someone who's 16 or 17 and child pornography.
He seems like a really nice guy and all that, so I'm kind of stunned, but you just never know. You never know.
Detectives say due to his profession, there may be more victims. In Ocala, Taylor Simpson, TV 20 News.
Ocala police officers